Yeah, now the recording is on. It's okay. I think if you get the notebook, you'll be able to follow along with the Wikipedia site. So the recording part will start from here, right? The recording part will start from here. So let me just do a quick summary of this part, starting from the bookstore, right? The Wikipedia part, I think the notebook is clear enough. I have written some comments there that you can get it. So what I was saying from initial part, right? In order to, get the recording part of this, because the recording was not started from the beginning. So let me just quickly start from the bookstore page so that when you get the recording, you can actually follow along, right? So what I'm saying is that not every site allows you to perform web scraping, right? Some sites are having their own terms and conditions which they don't allow web scraping. So in order to perform this, you have to be very, very careful, right? You have to read the terms and conditions of the site before you start with the web scraping. So what you can do is to first maybe reach out to the company or the particular site and then see if it is allowed. Then, they give you the go ahead, then you can perform it there. So there's this site that you can perform this web scraping there to practice your skills before you get into the real world. Real world challenges. So like if Amazon is recruiting you, this kind of skills is going to be, highly helpful, right? So I've given you the link here. I've given you the link here. So we looked at the page, like this page, right? Which is having a lot of items being laid down. You can see that we have a lot of books here. We have a lot of books have been laid down here. And um, we have the ratings, right? Then we have the titles of each book. We have the titles of each book. We have the prices of each book. And then we also have add to cart, which is the same as it is being represented on every e-commerce site. All right. So if you go through all these, they are having some similarities, some commonness here, right? And as I said, you can also inspect the page. You can also go to inspect and then see how the page has been laid down, right? You see the CSS or the HTML behind everything, right? And then when you're performing your scripting, that will help you a lot to extract, the titles and the images and whatever information that you want to get. This portion of the page is going to help you a lot. All right. So that's what we did before we started the recording. And also the pages are from 1 to 50, right? You have to also note that. And from the Wikipedia site that we did, the first exercise, you can see that it's also having the titles here, right? Having the titles. And you can see that these are categories of books that have been written and put over here, right? So if you click on each category, it will take you to the specific kind of books. Like if you see young or maybe fantasy, right? If you click on fantasy, it brings you fantasy books, which is the same thing as Amazon site or Flipkart or eBay or whatever site that you can think of is being laid down, right? So basically that is how the page is, and you can perform, you can practice your skills here, which is free to do that. If you can see the tagline here, we love being scrapped, right? So basically that's what it's built for. So you can practice your skills here without getting your ID bent or without getting any law issues. All right. So that's what we do. We are doing here. So we are saying that we need the page, right? The number of pages here. So if you see, this one is having 1 to 50 pages, right? So we need the number of pages. Maybe we just want to get the information from the first to the third page, or from the first to the 10th page, right? Maybe we don't need all the pages, all right? So that's what we can do. So we will need the number of pages, and then we will need the prices, right? As I said, each item is having their own prices. So we need the kind of, the type of prices for each item, all right? Then we will also need the ratings, right? As each item is having their own rating, right? Some are having 3, 1, 1, 3. Each of them have their own kind of ratings, right? 2, some are having, 5 ratings, right? So we need the ratings in order to perform the analysis, right? And then we need the title of the book, right? Each book is having their own title. So we will need the title also. And then we will also need the image URL, right? Because each image is having their own link, right? This image is having their own link. If you right click here, you can see the copy link address, right? Each image here is having their own link. So maybe we also want the image in order to see which, maybe the image is also having any kind of sentiment relationship with the way that people purchase the item, right? Like if we get to the machine learning part, we can also talk about sentiment analysis, and you can reason to it to know why we also needed the image. All right. So there's tons of information that we can get from this. So these are the informations that we will stress for now. All right. So what we are going to do over here is to build an empty list for them, right? For the page, we are creating an empty list for them so that we can, when we extract the number of pages that we want, we will put it in the variable called page, right? I mean pages, all right? So we're creating empty lists for that. And then we create empty lists for the prices also. So when we get all the prices, then we put them in. When we get all the ratings, then we put them in the ratings variable, right? Then if we get all the titles, we put them here. If we get the image URLs, we put them in the URLs, all right? So over here, we are creating the number of pages that we want. This is just a variable, right? Number of pages is just a variable that we are creating. It's our own variable that we are creating, right? So we are saying that number of pages equals 1, meaning that we are just getting the first page, right? So if we change this to 2, then it means that we want the first 2 pages. If we change it to say 6, then it means that we want the first 6 pages, all right? So let's start with the first page. Okay, let's start with the first page, which is having all these items. If you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 20 items here, right? We have about 20 items here. So we're going to talk about these 20, if you can see 1 to 20. So we have about 20 items here. The whole item is right, like 1,000 items are here. The first page is having about 20 items. So let's first do it for the first page before we can talk about the next pages, right? If we get to understand how the first page is being analyzed, then we can expand it to the next pages and the next pages, right? So that's why we're creating this variable, and then we are initializing it with 1, right? Now, what we are going to do is to loop through, right? Loop through the required pages, right? So if we say that we are starting from 1, then in order to get the last page, we add +1 here, right? So for I in the page that we will be selecting, right? Then if we want to, if you remember when we are indexing, right? It starts from 0 to the last page, but the last page will not be part because Python will not count the last page. In order for the last page to come, like if we use 6 here, then it will go up to the 5th page, right? So in order for the 6th page to come, we're using +1 here so that the 6th page will come, all right? That's what this part is doing. And the URL, this URL is just the URL of the page, right? If you see the URL of the page, let me go to the page and then you can see something. Let me just do it like this. Change this to the, come on. Okay. Now, if you see this, right? If you see this URL here, just look into the search bar here, right? You see the search bar. Now, you can see that you have the link, right? books.toscript.com/catalog/page-1, right? You see that -1 here, .html, right? -1 is there, .html is there, right? The -1 here is showing that's the first page, right? If we use -2, now see the items which are on the first page, right? Let's just consider the title, a light in there, then some dash there. But if we change the 1 here, right, it was 1. Now, if we change the 1 to 2, all right, if we change the 1 to 2, it means that we want the second page, right? Now, you see that the second page, the first item there is, right, in her wake. That's the first item there, right? And the last item there is, you can't bury them, something like that, right? That's the I mean the items over here. We can change this to say we can change the two to say 5, right? Which means that the fifth page, all right? If we go to the fifth page, these are the items that are on the fifth page, right? So having princess jellyfish, whatever is there, with the I mean the last one in the country, we some other text which are not shown. All right. So this is basically that's how the URL has been structured here. That's why I say you have to spend a bit of time to study what you are, I mean, about to do and what you want to do, right? So if you see the structure of the URL itself, it can help you to loop through all the pages, right? So that's what we are going to do. So in order to get all the pages, we are not putting, if you see what we are doing here, we are not putting one here. This is the same URL that we were talking about, right? But instead of saying instead of putting one here, dot one, or maybe dot two, or I mean dot three, or maybe dot eight, or whatever, or maybe dot six, right? We are just giving it this way, right? In order to be able to format it. Now, what we are saying here is that if for I in this, right, for I from the first page to the last page that we will give, right, from the first page to the last page that we will give, just format it. Format it means that the page that we are talking about will be replaced here. So if we are talking about the third page, then this place will be replaced with 3. Right? If we are talking about the fifth page, then this place will be replaced with do it this way. Then this place will be replaced with 5, right? If you're talking about the 10th page, then this place will be replaced with 10. All right, that's what this part is actually doing. Okay, then after getting the pages that we want to append it. Append it means we are adding it to the empty list that we created, right? Now we created pages with empty list, right? So after getting the page, which we stored in URL, right? We put the URL in this empty list, right? So let's run this part and then see what we are talking about. Now, if you can see this, right? If you can see the pages, right? Let's see how many pages are there. One, only one pages, right? If we check the length means how many items are there, right? It's only one. It's only one URL. Now, if we change this to 2, change this to 2, let's see what happens again. You see that we have 2 URLs, right? We have this URL all the way. You see that -1.html, right? Now it's -1. Now it will move on to -2. You see that? It will move on to -2. If we change it to 3, if we change this to 3, or let's say to 6, right? Let's go to that extent and see what happens here. Now you can see that we have 6 of them. 1, you see that -1, -2, all the way here, -3, all the way to the last one, -5 is here, right? And then -6, all right? That's what is happening here. So if we check the length here, you see that we have 6 URLs inside there. All right, that's what is happening. So let's just keep it to 1 and then deal with the first page. And then after that, we can extend it. Is it clear up to now? Is it clear up to now? Let me see in the chat box. Is it clear up to now? Are you getting it, guys? Are you getting it? Is it clear up to now? All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. So, okay, all right. Okay, all right. I'm actually recording it, so after that, I'll share the recording with you. Okay. So if you remember, we use Beautiful Soup, right? After getting the data from the Wikipedia site, we use Beautiful Soup to make it more readable. All right. So this page is actually making no sense to us. We need to get the items from the page, right? If you see this part, right? We use request.get to get the information. Now, what we did so far is just to get the URL, right? We just got the URL here. If you see it, we just got the URLs here, right? Just the URL first, just the first page, which is nothing, right? We need to get the information on this URL, right? if I copy this URL and search in the search bar, right? If I copy it and put it here, you see that it's giving us the first page, right? So we want to get information from this first page, all right? We close it. Now, that's what is happening. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to get the information from the first page over there. Now, what we are doing here is we are using the request. If you remember it, we use request to get the information, right? So we are saying that for item in pages. So what we are doing is that in case the pages are not one, it's maybe 2 or 3 or 4 to maybe say 6 pages, right? For all the pages that we will get here, right? In case this one we are just using one, but if we want to get say 6, 7, 8 pages, right? Then we are saying that for all those URLs which are there, right? All the pages that we have, right? Get the information from them. Get request.get item, right? Get the information from all those pages. That's what this part is actually doing. All right. And then after that, store it in page. All right. And in order to make it more readable, we are using the beautiful soup, right? Which coming from this library BS4. All right. And this, as I said earlier on, contains these two arguments or parameters, which is the page where you store the information, right? Dot get text, making it more readable, getting all the text, and then you can use either the XML or you can use the HTML parser to make it more readable, right? So after running this part, let's see what happens. So let's just print. Now we store it in soup, right? This is just a variable. If you remember earlier on, we stored it in a certain variable called BSP. Someone asked about that. It's just a variable that we created, all right? So in this case, we are creating different variable. I mean, it's just a variable that you choose yourself, right? It could be maybe your name, right? It could be your name, maybe Rakesh. You can just store it in the variable like that, right? It doesn't actually just be consistent with it so that you get to know, right? So in this case, I'm using soup, right, as just a variable. Now, if we print that, we print the soup, let's see what happens. See that we've gotten all the information from the first page of the bookshop, right? On the first page of the bookshop, we've gotten all the information over there, right? All the information over there. These are all the information over there. I mean, a bunch of them, a bunch of them. Then we want to, if you see this page, see where is our bookstore? Okay, this is our bookstore, right? Now let me see the source code of this. Okay, now if you see the source code, it's actually written in a certain format that's even this header, right? Now you can see some indentation. There's some div tags which are also, I mean, being nested in another div tag. I mean, that's how the page has been built, right? Some URL with some li tags, right? This is how it has been built. But if you see the one we got, right? If you see this one, right? They are all like aligned, like straight like that. This is not how the page is being built, right? In order to get it in that format, right? In order to get it the same format that the page has been built, you use this prettify, right? It's having BS4, or I mean, Beautiful Soup is having this prettify function that you can use to make it to look like that. Now, if you see that, you can see that instead of all being aligned like this, you can see from this part that it is also being formatted in the same form, right? Some div tags being contained in another, right? Just the same way the page has been built, right? See how this one is, right? It's the same as the page source, same as this page source has been built, okay? Same as this page has been built. So that's how we are going to extract the information from, because it makes it more easier. If it is in this format, you can actually see it and then extract the information from it, all right? So let me comment this one so that we'll get a chance to do the next part. Let me comment this part. If you get access to the notebook, you can comment and then run it and see. So what we are going to do is to find the titles, right? To find all the titles here, right? If you see our page, All the books are having their own titles. So we are going to extract all the titles. We're going to extract all the titles, right? That's what this code is actually going to do. Now let's go and then inspect the page a bit and see. Let's go to inspect. Okay, let me grab my cursor. And then I'll go to this title. Now, if you see the title, right? See the title. Now, if I grab this cursor and click on the title, right? I click on this title. Let me go to the first page. Actually, we are on the 5th page, if you can see from the URL. So let me go to the first page. Great. Okay, now we're on the first page. Now, if I grab this and then see the title here, right? Now, if you see on my right here, you can see where the cursor is, right? It's actually, the title is actually found in the H3 tag, right? H3 tag. That's why this code is actually saying that we are going to find all the H3 tags. So that's what this part is doing. Find all the H3 tags. Okay, we're going to find all the H3 tags because that's where the titles have been input, right? That's what the title has been put. Let me spread it again, then you can see it. Okay, so let me go and grab. Okay, let's say this one. Let's say this one. It's also in H3, right? It's also in H3 tag. Okay, so we are going to get all the H3 tags. That's what this part will do, right? Go through all the soup, right? Soup is just the information that we got, all the information that we got, we stored it in soup. If you see this part of the code, see why I comment it always, because it's a bunch of things that you always have to go through a lot. So let me go up, 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 up. Yeah. If you see this part, we stored everything in soup, right? We stored everything in soup. We printed soup and we got this stuff. Let me comment this part. Yeah, cool. So that is what this part is actually doing, that we are going to in soup, right? If you go into soup, find everything, find all the H3 tags, all right? And then after finding all the H3 tags, we use the i.get_text. If you see this part, right? We get the text, which means that we get the particular text that we want. We don't want the tag to come, right? We don't want the tag to come. If you see the HTML, the Wikipedia site that we did, after we run this, we still have the tags here, right? So we don't want that. That's why we use the get text, so that when we get the text, we only have the text, not including the tags, right? So the same way, that's what we're doing over here. All the way down. That's what we are doing over here. We are getting only that, right? Then after getting the title, right? After getting the title, we put it here. Let me just print this part so that you can see it. I don't know what I print. Okay. Let me print this, only this part, so that you can see it. Okay. Now let's see what happens in this first line before we even get the tags, right? So for I in soup.find all, right? Find all. Let's print the I and see. I is just all the items which are in soup, right? So let's go and then print that. All right. Let's go and print that. Now, if we see this, you can see that all the H3 has been extracted, right? This is what they find I in soup.find all H3, right? For I in soup.find a all, right? This is what it's doing. This is what this part is doing. It's getting all these, right? It's getting all these. Then after getting all these, this parts of the code is saying that get only the titles, right? If you see here, the title itself is also here. The title itself is here, right? You see this H3, if you go through, you can see that the title is here, the text which is the title, which is Tipping the Velvet, right? If you see our page, you see our page is there, right? Tipping the Velvet. That's the title of the book. So if you go there, it's there. If you see the third, I mean the third one is having this whatever name it is, right? Is there. Let's see this, which is having a brief, I mean Sapiens, a brief history. If we go to our page, we can see it there. Yeah, this one, Sapiens, a brief history. You can see that it's there. So these are all the titles, right? They are all contained in H3 tag. All right, they are all contained in H3 tag. So this part is actually getting us only the titles. All right, if we run only that part, right? Let me run that part too. So let me comment all this. All right. Then I'll run this. I'll run the second part of the code. I mean this. If I run this and then I run, I store it, right? I store it here. So I'm going to run that part. So let me copy this variable and then put it here. All right. Now you can see that it's only the Himalayas, right? Just the title that it has been extracted. All right. Just the title that has been extracted. Now we are going to put this title in this title empty list that we created. Earlier on, we created an empty list, right? If you see the first part of our code, where are you? Yeah, we created this. All right, so we're going to put it in this empty list. Okay. So let me run from here all the way down and then run this part, then run this part and then run it. Okay. Now, if we see in the list, right, we see we are going to put all the titles that we extracted. We are going to put all of them in the title, I mean, the empty list, right? We created an empty list called title, right? Created an empty list here, which is called title. So after extracting all the title, then we append it. That's what the last part of the code is doing. We append all the titles that we have extracted, right? We appended them in this variable, right? So if we see it here, all the titles are here from a light in there, whatever, all of them did not come, but if you see, just a shortened form, the same way it has been written on the page, right? If you see it from here, you see the light in there, then the 3 dashes there, the same thing, right? All the way to the last one, which is, it's only the Himalayas. If you see the page, what is the last book over there? Okay, it's only the Himalayas. Where are you? 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 Okay, we are on the page 2. Okay, we are on the page 2. So let me go to the page 1 so that you can see that. Okay, here to be 1. And let me close this. All right. So a light in the velvet, which is the first one. And then to the last one, which is it's only the Himalayas, right? So we've been able to extract all these titles from the first one, which is a light in there with the 3 dash, which is there, right? Which is a light in there with the 3 dash. And then the last book, the last book, which is, it's only the Himalayas, right? We also have that title here. It's only the Himalayas. So we've been able to extract all of them, all the titles, right? And then we have been able to store it in title, all right? So we can also extract the prices. The same way we can also extract the prices. So we are saying that for P in soup dot find, oh, soup is, as we said, soup is just the information we have extracted, all the information we have, all right? Then the price is actually contained in the P tag, right? If we see, I mean, in the P tag and also a class called price color. If we see the page, right? Let's go to the page and inspect it. And then we can get it clear. So right click, go to inspect. Yeah. Let me just get to any of the products, right? And then grab my cursor from top here. Now, if I put it on the price, right, you can see if I put it on the price here. Okay, now you can see from here, right, P here, right, P tag, class is what, price underscore color, all right? Then you can see that the price is in there. You can see very well that the price is in there, right? We have the class price underscore color, and then we have the tag P, right? And then the price is in there. The same way, if I grab the cursor again, go to a different book, let's just pick any book at random. Let's pick this book. See this one. See this price, which is 33.34 pounds, which is also there, right? Which is there. It is stored in the class, which is price color with a P in a P tag, right? All of them in that. So if we come here, that's what we're doing. We're in a P tag and then a class called price underscore color. That's what we are doing over here. Okay, that's what we are doing over here. So we get everything, and then after that we get only the text, right? We get only the text, which I demonstrated earlier on. Just getting only the text. No, we don't want the tags, so that's why we are using this part. Then after that we store it in price, and then we add it to our empty list that we created, right? We created a price empty list also. So with the price, we have price here, right? Which is empty list. So we are going to put all the price in this prices empty list that we created. All right. So after getting all the prices here, then we append it. We put them over there. Right. We store the prices in the variable called price. So we are now going to add all the prices in the empty list that we created. Right. So if we print this, we see that we get all the prices. All right. We get all the prices. Get all the prices. So if let's say you've been employed in let's say Flipkart, and they want to see, I mean, the prices of the goods. Maybe is it having a relationship on the way the items have been laid down? Is it the way the items have been laid down on the website? Is it having any impact on the prices, or is there any relationship between the image and the price, or is people having any kind of sentiments related to this kind of pricing, the way they laid down their pricing? This kind of analysis are going to perform a lot, because that's what they use to build the algorithm. And the way they position the price is going to be changed after performing this kind of analysis. All right. So if let's say you want to compare if there's any correlation between the image and the price, right? Maybe the image, if the image is high definition or the image is high quality, then it's having it attracts more clicks on that kind of image, or it attracts more customers to click on that, right? And you can also compare that with the price. Is it having any relationship with the price? If the image is high quality, doesn't mean that people click on that the most and they don't even care about the price. Or maybe you can also compare the price and the title, right? Maybe the title of the book is also having any impact on the customers in relationship with the price, all right? And you can also compare maybe the price and the stars, right? The number of stars. Maybe the book is having 5 stars. Does it have any effect on the price? Maybe people have that kind of preconceived memory that if the book is having 5 stars, then the price is supposed to be high. So if the price is low, then they will be thinking that maybe the book is still not good, right? So they can adjust the price. If the price is having 5 stars, then they can increase the price so that they say that, okay, then this is a premium book, all right? This form of algorithms, they are going to perform a lot after doing this kind of analysis, all right? And in order to get this kind of data, this is what you have to do. You have to extract all the data, and it's not going to be just a single page. It could be thousands of pages that you have to extract, all right? But basically, this is the business. This is how you do it. You just write the code, and the code you're not going to separate it as I'm doing it. This one is just for you to get to know it, but the code, it could be in one cell. It could be, a lot of lines of code, right? Like all these that I have separated could be in just one cell, all right? Instead of separating it like that, it's just going to be a single cell running or throughout the pages and then fetching all the information for you, all right? So we've gotten our price. Let's see how we can get our ratings also, right? So in the same way, we are going through the information that we fetched earlier on from the pages, right? We store everything in the soup, all right? Then we find all. We find all what, this one is also stored in a class called star rating, right? If we go to the page and check, if we, let me grab this cursor and go to the ratings, right? Go to the ratings here. Let me close this. Grab my cursor again. You will see the ratings here, right? You can see it here. If I go to the next, place it very well. You can see it here, right? P, class, star rating, right? And then the rate is there 4. The rating is there 4, right? If I grab it again and go to say this rating, right? Yeah, this one is having 5 stars. So you can see the star rating is 5, right? Star rating is 5 over here, right? And they are all in a class, right? In a class called star rating, right? But this one, you can actually see something here. Instead of the number of ratings being separated from the class, it has been all put together, right? And that's what our code here is going to do for us. All right. So for us in soup, we are finding all the p tags, which is having the class star rating. All right. And then we are going to represent each of them as single one, because instead of putting the rating in a different tag, they've put the star rating, which is the name of the class, and the number of rating together, right? You will see this one too, star rating 4, star rating 5. They've put in all of them together. So what we are going to do over here is to separate them. That's why we're using 2 variables here, so that we will get all of them, right? We'll get the 2, right? We'll get the 2. So the K will actually represent the, if you go to the source here, right? The K will actually represent the name of the class, right? And then the V will represent the number of ratings, right? So K and then V, we are representing them with K and then V, all right? That's what this part is actually doing, right? And then after that, if you see this part, let me just run it and show you all of that part. If you see this part is just saying that extract only the V part for me, right? Extract only the V part for me. Now, let me just copy that part. And then run only that for you to see. All right. Okay, so let me run only the star also, so that you get to see it well. Now, if I run the star, okay, now you see that we are able to extract only the, what they call it, only the number of rating, right? Showing you only the number of rating, okay? Showing only the number of rating. Instead of coming with the name of the class, we're able to extract only the rating, right? So this one is actually coming with, coming from this, which one is having 2 ratings. Yeah, it might be this one. Yeah, probably this one, coming with the 2 ratings. All right. And then after that, we will append it. We will add it to our empty list that we created, which is rating.append, right? We append all the ratings here. All right. We append everything here. All right. So if you see this part, ratings, we created an empty list for it. So we are going to put all the ratings in the variable we created, which is ratings, right? So we come here, let me clean up this. Let me clean up that, all right. Then run this. Now let me print this for you to see. Now you can see that all the ratings have been collected, right? From 3 stars to 1 to 1 to 4, 5, 1, like all of them, all of the stars that are here, right? All of them are being collected here, right? 3, 1, and then 1, 4, right? That's how it is there, right? 3, 1, 1, 4, then 5. That's all the stars are being collected here, all right? Guys, is it clear up to now? All right, so we are going to find the image URL also, all right? We're going to find the image URL. So if we see this part, if we see this part, basically it's the same way that we are using. If you do it this one time or two times, you should be able to see the pattern, right? It's not any difficult thing. You should be able to see the pattern, right? The only difficult part is to study the structure of the page and see the kind of information you want and see where that information is located, right? But if you see this one, right, we want to find the image URL. But if you don't see the structure of the page, you don't know which tag the image URL is located in, which class is it located in, right? So I pick my cursor and put it here, right? I can see that, yeah, you can see that it is in IMG tag, right? IMG tag, right? And then we have the source, which is SRC, right? Here. And then they give some alternative. Let me push this one here a bit so you to see. Yeah, then they give some, alt test, right? Just in case the page is not loading, this is the test that I will show, right? Some class is there, which is thumbnail, right? If we pick it again and then click on a different image here, let's say this one. See, that is the same thing, IMG, SRC, alt test is there, class is there, class thumbnail is there, right? So you just have to study that. See, once you get a pattern, that's all you're done, all right? So over here, we are seeing that we are using we are finding all, right? We are going through this soup and then we find all this, right? Find all the div tags, right? We see it over here. They are nested in this. They are nested in this div tag, right? Right. We have div and then class, image, container there. All right. So we're going to find all of them. Like if you pick a different image, it's the same format, right? Pick this image, the same. Div class, image underscore container. They are all in that one. They've been nested in that. Okay. So we pick the div tags, which are in the information that we fetched. We find all of them. And then we see the class that we have. Now, if you're writing the class, one thing you have to note is this underscore, right? If you don't bring this underscore, you're gonna get error. Because if you take this underscore, it will be treated as a class, right? Like just a class that you create with different arguments inside, right? The normal Python class, right? But that's not what this thing is actually showing. We don't want that. So use underscore here, all right? And then the name of the class, okay? So after this part, we can just print these divs, and then you can see how it's being done. Let me just go and print this one so that you can see after fetching all the divs, right? Let me just print this div for you to see. We find all the div tags, right? And then we store it in this variable called divs. So I'm going to print that so that you see the items that are in div now. You see that we've been able to extract all the div, right? All the div tag which contains the class image underscore container, right? Containing the class name image underscore container. We've been able to extract all of them here. All right, we've been able to extract all of them here. Now after that, that's not all. If you see this one, right? You see the image there. It's containing this, right? It's containing that, and this is the URL. This is the URL, right? Which is containing another one here, right? With an alt text and a class called thumbnail, right? So that's what this part is also coming to do, right? It's in a tag called IMG, and then another class called thumbnail, right? Another class called thumbnail. So we'll fetch all of them. We'll fetch all of them so that we can actually get them. So we are saying that for thumbs in divs. So we are going through all these things, right? And finding all the thumbnails, right? All the thumbnails which are in this one we have extracted, which is like this, right? We are going to fetch all of them. We are going to fetch all of them. So that's what this part will actually do, right? So after finding this part, let me just print that one for you to see. Let me print this part. We fetch and then we store it in this variable called tags, right? So let me print that for you to see. You see that now we have only the image out, so it's not now starting from the div. We've been able to go beyond the div, right? Been able to go beyond the div. Now we are in the image tag now. We are in the image tag. If you see this part, right? We have the image tag, which is contained in the div tag, right? So we're able to move from the div. We first extracted all the div tags which contain our image. So now in the image, in the div tag, now we are also selecting only the image tag which contains the URL, right? Contains the URL of the image that we want. So we've moved another step here. That's what this part is, this code is doing, saying that go through all of them, go through all the items which are in divs, right? Go through all the div tags and then select only the image tag for us, right? Which has a class of this. That's what that part is also doing. So if you see this one, we printed, it's not having the div. All right. Then after that, we select the link, right? We select the link. And now if you see the link here, if we take a closer look at the link is having this dot in front of it. But in order to get these links, right? These links are almost the same, just that it changes with the particular link. After that, let me just copy this kind of link. Let me copy link address and then put it here for you to see. Now, if you see this part, right? Just see the link that is in the search bar here. Let me go here. You can see that we have http :/books.toscript.com/media cache, then some numbers, right? These are the real URL of the particular image, right? But all from there up to now, up to here is the same for all of them, right? These are the ones that change. So the same way we did for the main URL, where we will not put one there, but we will just keep it empty. So that we can look through and be adding these ones, right? As we did over here. The same thing we are going to do. We're going to copy the URL, which is similar to all of them, right? That's what we are going to do. Then after that, after doing that, we add the SRC, which is the source of the particular image. If you see the source here, if you see the source code, we have SRC, and then / right? / which is the particular URL, right? So after the main URL, if you see this one, after the main URL, then the particular URL will come, all right, of the particular image. If you see a different image, if I click on a different image here, let's say this one, right? It's also having SRC .. then this. They all have this one, which is specifically for them, but the first address is the same for all of them, right? That's what we are doing over here. That's what we are doing over here. This is the same for all of them. Then after that, we are adding the particular address for each of them here, all right? But it's starting with .. which we don't want, right? Which we don't want. If we print, if I run this, then I print only links. Let me try and do that. No. Okay. Now you can see this, right? It's having the .. over here, which will not make sense. Now it's adding this. This part is the one coming. It's adding this, which is the specific URL for each of them. If you see the page, right? It's .. then the specific URL is there. But it's starting with .. was just a shortcut that was done on the page. But if we run this URL, we will get error. We will not get anything. So we want to cut this thing off. And that's what this part of the page is doing, right? That we are replacing this .. with nothing, right? .. comma, then we have quotes with nothing inside. All right, so quote with the .. then we're replacing it with nothing. So that it will just put this specific URL with this URL without adding this .. All right. Then after that, we will add everything to the URLs empty list that we created, right? Remember we created URL empty list here. right? We add everything inside. That's what we are going to do. Okay, this one. Okay, so that's what this part is doing. Append it, right? That's what this part is actually doing. You're appending it. Okay. Then after that, that's the last part actually. That's the last part. So if we print this URLs, right? Let me try and print it. Let me print it here. Let me print. No. Let me print it. URLs. Okay. Now you see that it's having it now. If you see this one, it was having HTTP colon, then books.toscript.com/, then dot was there, right? Now, if you see this part, right, it's the same URL here, but it's not having that. You see that? But it's not having the dot. After the .com/, nothing is there because we replace it with nothing. All right, nothing is there now. Guys, is this part clear? Is this part clear? So str is just a string, right? We are converting it to a string so that it will not to convert it to a string. If you were in the previous classes, you will see this str. Just converting this part to a string, making it see it as a string, right? So basically that is it. That is this part. We've gotten the information we want. So what we are going to do, let me comment this part so that we have access to the next page. We've already printed it. Okay, this is the same as the one we printed. Okay, so now what we are going to do is to build a dictionary and then put all of them together. We are going to build a dictionary and then put the title, right? The title, the prices, and the ratings. Now, in the dictionary, as we studied in the previous classes, we will have our key and then we have our value, right? We have our key and then we have our value. The same thing here, key, and then we have our value. Now, remember we've created empty list and then we filled it with all the titles, right? Which is title, right? With this this part, this empty list, this empty title, right? We've put titles inside. Okay. Now, if you see it over here, yeah, this title, this empty list now is now filled with this title. Okay. So now we are going to create a dictionary. Creating a dictionary here. So on the dictionary, we are creating the key as a title, and then we put our title that we have fetched. And then we create our key again as price. Then we put in the prices. Then we create our key again as ratings. Then we put ratings here. Then we create a key again as URL. Then we put URLs inside, right? So this is our dictionary that we are creating, and then we are storing it in web data, right? We store everything in web data. Now, if we see web data, right, this is what we have. We have the title. This is the key that we created. Title, this title, right? Is here. It's the same thing here. And then all the titles that we have, because we see that we should put the title, right? And title contains these items, contains all the titles, right? Contains all the titles. We come all the way here, yeah. And then we are saying that create a key price, right? And then put the prices. This prices contains all the prices. So if you see it here, this is the key, right? Which contains all the prices. Contains all the prices. And then we created a key called ratings, right? We have ratings here. And the ratings is also contain all the ratings, which is 3, 1, 1, 4, whatever, all the way to the last one. We run this thing 2 times. That's why we have in all this, right? So we need to run it again. Let me run it from this part so that it will not be having this kind of double. Okay. Let's see which part. Yeah. So let me run everything again so that we will not be having the double ratings presented. All right. So now you see that we don't have the double because we ran it about 2 or 3 times. That's why we have in order. So the ratings is also contain this. And then we created another index called URL. Then we put in all the URLs here, right? So we have the URL here containing all the URLs that we have, right? Contain all the URLs that we have. Now the next thing is that we don't forget that we stored everything in web data, right? We stored everything in web data. So after that, we are going to convert this web data to a data frame, right? If you remember last week, it was just last week, Sunday, that we did pandas data frame, right? That's why earlier on we imported pandas as PD. You can see it from here. We imported this part. This is what we are going to use now. Import pandas as PD, okay? So that's what we're going to use right to convert data to readable, more analysis. All right. So we are storing in there data frame, shorten it to here. Just pd.data frame. This is a way to convert the data frame, right? And then we put our web data. I mean, this is our dictionary that we created. We put it inside, right? Now this part, I'll talk about it. Let me just run this part first, the first part, and then you can see. Now, if we run this part, now we store everything in DF, right? So let's see what is in DF now. You see what we have now? Now we've been able to convert it to a beautiful table, a beautiful data frame now. All right. So this could not, I mean, if it's a company like Flipkart or Amazon, this could be a lot of data that you have here. It's not going to be just 20 data, I mean, 20 rows here. No, it's going to be a lot of them, right? But basically the steps are the same thing, okay? It's going to be a lot of data points that you have here. Then from here is where you're going to perform the analysis and build the algorithms based on, I mean, the requirements that you want, all right? So we've been able to convert it. Now this part of the code, right? This last part of it is going to, you see that it's starting from 0, the index, which is a default way of indexing it for us. So it starts from 0 all the way to 90, right? But maybe you want to start from 1 to 20, right? That's what this part is actually doing. So if you run it, and then you see this part. Now it's starting from 1 to 20, instead of starting from 0 to 19, it's starting from 1 to 20, right? So from here, we can perform a lot of analysis on that, right? Can perform a lot of analysis on it. Let me just take this one out. Okay, now if you see this part, right? If you see this part, if you see the prices part is actually coming with the currency, right? It's actually coming with the currency. Now we can perform the analysis on it, or we can just take the currency out of it, right? And then leave only the prices part, right? If we want to take the currency out of it, we can actually perform several, ways of doing it. If you get a notebook, you can run this first part also to get it, right? The second part also worked perfectly for the same result, okay? So now we are we are saying that this one is a way of just creating a new column, right? But we want it to be the same as the price. And then in DF, we are selecting only the price, and then you see that earlier on I told you about this str, right? Just a way of converting it to a string, right? So this is a string, right? And then we are replacing it with nothing, just like we did it for when we're performing this kind of operations here, right? Replacing this dot to dot with nothing. The same thing we are doing here. We are taking off this sign and then replacing it with nothing, right? So if we run this part and then we check our table again, now you see that the prices are not having that, all right? The prices are no more having these signs over there, the currency signs over there. So these are some of the things you can do after getting your data. I mean, this is the part that you clean up your data, you perform the exploratory data analysis. This is why you clean it. Now, if you see the ratings are in a string form, right? 3, 1, instead of maybe a number 3, and then a number 1, right? This is a string form, right? It's difficult to perform analysis on the string form, right? You want to, build, even if you want to build algorithm on this, it's going to be very difficult, right? So the best way to do is to convert this part to an integer, right? A numerical one, right? So we can also do that, right? This part was just sorting the data from the highest to the lowest, right? If you get the notebook, you can do that part, right? Just sort values. Use the sort values to sort it. Sorted by what? Sorted by price, all right? Now, if you see it, you can see that it starts from the highest price, starting from the highest price, okay? Starting from the highest price. So that's what the sorted values is doing. You're just sorting it by the price. Okay, and then giving ascending equals false, meaning that don't start it from the smallest to the highest. We started from the highest price to the smallest. All right, that's why I started from 57.25, 54, 53, 52, going all the way down, reducing to 13. Right. Now, let's now convert the ratings. Right, the ratings from a string form to an integer form. All right, let's convert the ratings from to an info. If you see, right, as we did earlier, creating a new column, right, and we want it to be the same as the ratings. Now in the ratings form, right, we select DF. In DF, we are selecting only the ratings. This is where we are going to perform our replacement on. Then we use the replace function. Use the replace function. Now, if you see this one, that we did, the replace that we did here, we use replace, then comma, then replace it with nothing. But if you see this one, you see this part, we are having a lot of them here, because this one was actually the same thing. It was just AE, whatever sign it is, right? The same currency sign, right? Whatever, the same currency sign. But this one is different. We have 3, 1, 1, 4, 5, different, right? So we cannot do the same thing here. That's why we create this form of a dictionary, right? Form of a dictionary. Now we are saying that 3, we are replacing 3 with the number 3, replacing 1 with the number 1. So if you see 2, replace it with number 2. If you see 4, replace it with number 4. See 5, replace it with number 5. That's what this part is actually doing. Okay, so if we run this and then check again, right? Now we see that the ratings is now coming with 3, 1, 1. So instead of the string like 3, 5, 5, this has been sorted by in ascending order. That's why you see it that way. But it's the same thing: 3, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1. This is the original one, right? You can see it there: 3, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1. So now we've been able to convert it, right? So in this way, you can perform algorithms on it, right? You can actually build an algorithm on it. All right. Now let's check the data type and see what happens there. Now, if we check the data type, right, we are seeing that we said we converted this part to a number, right? But if we check, if we check this part, the price part, the ratings part is actually integer, right? Now it has been converted from a string, which is difficult to build algorithm on, to an integer, right? That's why you see int 64. But you see the price. The price part is also form of an integer, right? It's kind of a float. It's a float actually, right? But if you see the data type which has been assigned here, it's an object, right? Which is, not what we want. It's supposed to be a float, not an object. So in that case, we can convert it, right, from that object type to a float type. And that's what this part of the code is actually doing, all right? So in DF, we select the price and then we convert it. So in order to convert it, we use the function as type, right? Then we convert it to a float. Okay, so that's what we are doing. So this part is just like creating a new column, but we want it to be the same as the price column, right? Then in the price column, we are converting everything to a float. That's what this as type is doing. This type function is to convert it to a float function, all right? So if we check the type again, now this part is this part is actually giving us what do you call it? An object. Let me run this again. Now you see that we have float here, right? We have the price to be a float instead of the price being an object. Now we've been able to convert the price to a float, all right? And then the ratings to an integer. So in this case, we can build an algorithm on it, all right? Now, from here, we can check if there's any correlation between the ratings and the products, ratings of the product and the price, right? We can check if there's any correlation between the ratings, and then let's see the page from here. Let me close this part, right? If there's any correlation between these ratings and then the price, right? Maybe if it's having 5-star, then it's having higher price, or if it's having 5-star, is having lower price, or maybe if it's having 1-star, the price goes down, or something like that. Or is there any correlation between that, right? We can check that and see. Now, if we check that, we see this, right? Now, if you see that the price and the ratings is having negative correlation, very, very low, right? Which means that the price and the ratings are not correlated, all right? There's nothing, it's not, there's no correlation between the two, between the price and the ratings. They are totally different things altogether, all right? So this one gives you an idea that the ratings doesn't matter. The price doesn't affect the ratings, or the ratings doesn't affect the price, all right? You can also visualize it. We will do this matplotlib and the Seaborn tomorrow, all right? We will do it in the program 1 class. So basically what we do is to import matplotlib.pyplot, which we used for visualization, and then we import Seaborn. Seaborn is Seaborn is actually built on top of matplotlib, which help us to do the visualization in a better way, right? So doing tomorrow, actually, you'll get to understand this because that's what we would be doing tomorrow. Visualization is what we are going to do in a program 1, right? So after that, after importing this, and then we alias it, or we rename it as PLT, so that we will not be typing matplotlib.pyplot over and over again. We just shorten it to PLT. So PLT.figure, and then we are using figure size as 5 by 5, right? More like a square, right? And then with this, we are going to actually plot this one, right? So in a form of a heat map, right? In a form of a heat map. So if you can see it from here, you can see it from here. Now, if you see this row which is here, right? The darker it is, right, the less correlated it is, right? The lighter it is, then it is more correlated. So from 0 0.0, 0 0.2, 0 0.4, 0 0.6, 0 0.8, and then 1. If it is 1, then it is highly correlated. But if you see this one, right? If you see the ratings and then the price, right? It's very dark. It means that it's getting down here. Very dark means that it's down here, which means there's no correlation between them, right? But if you see price and price obviously will be white because the correlation between the variable and itself is always 1. So it's going to be very, very light over here. That's what this part is actually doing. Tomorrow we talk about this the more. So we've extended the class, very much, but I hope you don't mind that. So guys, we like to end here. And then we'll continue tomorrow to visualization class. And then next Saturday, we will meet again for our next class and our next topic. All right. So guys, is everything clear? Did you get anything out of it? Is it useful today? I'll actually give you this video, and also there's going to be what do you call it, an assignment regarding this. You see, we did it for 1 page, right? We did it for 1 page, but in the assignment, you do it for about 10 pages or maybe 15 pages, and then you get a lot of data to perform analysis. Assignment, you can perform, I will give you a lot of ways that you can perform analysis from that. And when we get to the machine learning part, we will use a certain site to also build some algorithms. Like basically they will give you the data set and then you perform the analysis on it. But on the real work scenario, there will be no data set for you. All the data sets are there are just some open source data sets for practice purposes. But if you get into a company like Amazon or any kind of company, Microsoft or whatever company that you can think of, there's not certain data there. Some of the data is not there. Some are just messy. You have to put them together. A lot of them, you have to put them together yourself, right? And these are the things you have to do. You have to fetch them yourself. You have to clean them yourself. These are the things that you'll be doing on the real world. You not have a real data set which you just load and start performing analysis on it. No, no one will go and do that work for you. You will do it by yourself. All right. And this is one of the ways that you can get the data and start analyzing it by yourself. If they give you the problem, like just your boss comes and then they will just start to say, is there any correlation between the image of the products on our page versus the ratings over there? That's just the question they have given you. But how do you prove? How do you say no or yes, right? This is the thing you have to do, and that's you have to fetch all this image and perform analysis on it, right? All the way up to this point, doing this kind of operation. Then you have just say no because you are the data with web of this. You have to actually fetch the data and then get it, right? So if you learn this skill very well, actually it's going to help you a lot, right? There's a lot of problem statements you will not have data, right? It's unlike the cargo computation that the data set is already there, or a lot of the open source projects that you have the data, then you just perform. No, it's not like that. You actually need to fetch the data. You have to clean it yourself. You have to use your own intuition to know that this kind of column is a string. It's difficult for me to perform the analysis on it. So let me convert it to what do you call it? An integer, right? Like if we have left it that way, we couldn't perform this correlation. It won't work. And the price column is a string. You can't do this. It won't work, right? You have to do it. You have to clean it yourself based on the objective you want to achieve. All right. So guys, let's practice. I'll upload this one on the site for you, and the questions also over there for you. All right. Is there anything else? Is there anything else you guys want to say? Okay, I've taken much of your time, so I think we can end it here. All right. So thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Next week, and yeah, basically that is it. If there's anything, I'll test in the group. But guys, try and then write articles. That's very important. Write articles. Let people see you. Let people see you. All right.
Yeah. Also, can you? Sorry. Also, can you send me the last two classes videos?
Yeah.
Or recording, so I can go through that.
Just remind me that I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I've not reached home. I just park somewhere before I do this. Before I continue going. So, this test me when I get to an apartment. I'll do that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone. Let's meet next week.